Welcome to Marci Talks Money and Life with your host, Money Marci.
Hello, I am Money Marci. My guest today is Azan, the host of the Lights of Wisdom podcast on YouTube, which has been sharing educational podcasts for almost a year. By the time you hear this, it will be over a year. And Oz is a very interesting young man. At this point in time, I guess he's trying to find himself. He loves volunteering and working to spread knowledge in the community. And I am so excited to share him with you. Welcome, Azan.
Hey, thank you so much for the kind introduction. I'm really glad to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here. So we were talking moments before I hit the button. So I know all of his secrets and you know none of them yet. Azan started a podcast a year ago. Never having been a guest, he just decided it was where his next steps were. So what made you start your podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think with anything in life, you always, I guess for most people, you want to have some experience. As you mentioned, I've never been a guest before. Podcasting was never really on my mind. And then it wasn't until, yeah, really about last year when I decided to just do something different with my life. I was not employed. And so, obviously with time comes what's your next biggest plan? So I'd always been a fan of traveling and always been a fan of networking. And I just kind of wanted to combine those two. Literally last August, after a trip to New York, I picked up the phone, called my friend, and told him exactly what I wanted to do. Within the next week, the first week of September, which happens to be this coming Thursday, is going to be our year anniversary of our first episode releasing. Picked up the laptop, recorded with a friend of mine, and that was our first episode. So from there, it just has snowballed into something different, something I guess we love doing, and we hope just to continue with it for as long as we can.
So your podcast talks to different people about what they do for a living or life's journey or interesting things they've done. So it's really educational. And when you
Exactly.
started doing this, did you say, oh, we're going to be educational, or did you say we're going to talk to people and see where it goes?
More of like the talking to people, seeing where it goes. I did know that, with kind of anything you shared, it can become some sort of educational, there can be some stuff you can take away from it, which is what we also expected, because obviously everyone's journey, everyone's line of work is different, and, you can pick up just one thing, and I would say that is something that you've learned. So it was kind of both like coincided with each other in the sense that, yeah, it was a bit of like educational and then a bit of just kind of seeing where it went from when we started.
Now that you've done a year, you've done how many podcast episodes?
About 60 in season one, and then right now we've just recorded about 11 episodes for season two, which are yet to be released, but hoping to release those in October.
So you're recording more than one a week, or you're releasing more than one a week.
I was recording more than one a week, but now I think we're going back to about one or two times a week because it can pile up. I'm sure we both know, it can be a lot. So we kind of want to enjoy the process. And as we have more people that are interested in coming on the show, I think kind of giving ourselves a break and not really pushing so much is going to be probably the best path forward for us. But yeah, it was right now, at least 3 times a week where our episodes are released. So.
How did you find your guests initially? How are you finding them now? And how did that evolve? Because when you're starting out and you really don't know what your niche is going to be, it's different than as you've defined yourself moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. For me personally, it started with, so I deleted social media before I actually started this, which I don't recommend to anybody who wants to start something because social media can be your best friend. But I took a gamble, deleted all my social media, like at least my personal accounts, and WhatsApp was my best friend. I had met actually at the time, my best friend and my kind of co-host before he had to take a break, Amaris, who I've had the great pleasure of working with. He actually introduced me to our current editor. From there, we kind of formed a team of three. And essentially, we had like always agreed about what we wanted to do, the kind of guests we wanted to have on. So all I had to do was basically just jump on, Facebook groups, even like people that we had already had in contact, just kind of curate, the guest or the guest talent that we wanted to have on. So it was made easy by like having the three of us kind of work side by side together to kind of determine that. And then over time, we relied heavily on Facebook groups like you and I met, I believe, on a Facebook group. And those are kind of the ways that we find our guests now.
Do you ever have to turn guests down because they contact you, they see you, and you're like, yeah, that's not really in alignment, or I've had so many guests already talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, in a way, not so much about talking about a certain topic, but there are just some things which, in the realm of we've had some people who want to talk about politics. That's just not something we do at this or talk about at this time. And also religion, because that's something I did before personally, and that didn't really go so well. So yeah, those are kind of the only main two things really. But other than that, we're pretty flexible. If we feel like the content is gonna fit the audience and it's something that we find interesting, we're not really strict per se, but yeah, there is kind of a little bit of a fine line of kind of what we're looking for.
I think it's fascinating, and that you started with a team because, as I've said before, I'm a one-woman show at this point in time. I don't like releasing my edits to someone else because I want to make sure that things stay the way they are supposed to stay, and that in the edits of clearing it up and trying to make us both look smarter, that we don't lose any of the meaning of what we discuss. Is it still a three-person team, or are there more than three at this point?
Yeah, so it's growing probably to about a dozen people. Thankfully, knock on wood, I've been very blessed, very lucky that everybody works really hard. I have one guy right now who basically edits within the same week. And also he's new at editing too. So whatever he's making, which people can check out on our channel, is all like brand new. He's not done this before, and the quality of work that he's pushing out has just been really amazing. And he's actually someone that I ran something with before starting this, which is something we remind ourselves every day of, like, this is something that's better. This is something that's kind of taught us so much more than I guess when we were in our early 20s. So yeah, I've been very lucky to have a team that kind of supports this whole thing and really wants to just see this grow and blossom into what, we all hope is something big and beautiful.
But you're always the front man.
Exactly. For now, at least.
Well, sometimes with a co-host, but always it's you. It's just whether it's you alone or with a co-host. Do you always have a guest? I didn't go through everything.
Yes, we try to have a guest on. I think that's something where we've had our most success is through these collaborations, through these like kind of, you could call it like a network where, we have a guest on, but sometimes it is just like Amaris and I attempted to do one episode with just the two of us, and we found that people like that a lot better, because it kind of creates that more personal connection, and it's just about us. And actually, we just did our first live stream last weekend, me and Amaris. So we're kind of still figuring out like how we want to move forward. Like we do want to have a guest on at least once a week, or at least, once every 2 weeks. So that is a tradition that we hope to continue. And then we've recently added some more team members that are kind of going to be hosting with either myself or Amaris or a few other people. So just seeing what that looks like, and yeah, we're going to probably be doing recordings with them too. So it'll be more personal, and more without a guest, rather than just like in-house with a bunch of us.
Are there professionals or professions or somebody that you really want to get on your show that this is something, wow, I really want to explore the world of law or the world of museum curatorship or whatever it is? Is there something that's on your wish list?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me personally, I would say there's two areas. Definitely more AI and fintech kind of leaders. And then I want personally like hospitality. I don't know why, but I've always been interested in like hospitality. So those are kind of like the main two areas of kind of people that I'm looking for on the show.
There's a lot of both of them out there. Those are big
Exactly.
industries. If anyone
Yeah.
out there listening is in those industries, he would love to talk to you, and I'm going to have contact information in the show notes. So if you want to check out his podcast or see about being a guest, it's available there. You guys are all in your 20s, your whole
Yeah.
team?
Yeah.
And some of you work and some of you are between gigs, but your podcast is not a full-time job yet.
Exactly.
Or okay. So what kind of professions are you guys in or leaning toward or trying to work toward at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of so spread out. Like, have people that work at Costco, have people that work five different jobs. Like, my first ever editor, who Amaris introduced me to, he works at least 5 different jobs, like as far as I know. So he's a very busy guy, always on the go, always, creating big things and just doing his thing. My current editor, like I said, works at Costco. I have a co-host that works at a school, so he's a teacher. Just they range from different jobs, different careers. For myself personally, I'm hoping I can take this to a full-time gig. I have a lot of plans for what I'm trying to do outside of the channel. So those are kind of my goals in terms of what my next steps are. So yeah,
I think that's so amazing. I mean, that here you are, young guys just starting in your career, and this is a great opportunity for you to network with professionals. I have this kind of idea that the people you're interviewing, the professionals, are being interviewed about their jobs. So it gives you guys an opportunity to not necessarily try out jobs, but learn more about them to consider what futures you might want to look more into or how they relate to future careers you may be considering. You're in Canada. Are all of your teams spread out through Canada, or are any of them not local?
some of them, I would say majority of us are in Canada, and then some of them are, spread out in the US, Europe, and then like as far away as like South Africa and Africa. So yeah, we got quite a big team.
That's
That's
awesome.
like
I mean,
that's like
that's
spread out.
that's that's so incredible. My whole team lives here, like in my house. So I think it's great that you made contact and you made connection with that. And here you are interviewing people, I assume, around the world as well. Technology has made us a global community. You could not be doing what you're doing 10 years ago.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's been super fun. Like you said, right? Like we've had people from thankfully all over the world, like from all different corners, and it's just been so fun to, kind of just hear people's whys, hear people's experiences, and it's so cool. Like when it all comes together, you don't actually realize it until you're doing it, and then even after the fact, when you go back and you watch episodes or go back and you connect with people. This is like as you said, right? The power that social media and that kind of like that online connection has is that you can really talk to anybody and really make connection and hopefully turn it into something that is beautiful, such as the world of, I guess, podcasting and yeah.
And way back at the beginning, you talked about networking, and really what you're doing is you've created this powerful network of individuals and of information. And I am just so impressed with what you're doing. I wouldn't have thought about podcasting. Well, I couldn't have when I was your age because it didn't exist then. But it was something that was thrown onto me after I was doing all the other things that I was doing. And someone was like, if you really want to move forward, what you have to do next is podcast. And here you are. You've taken it and really created this opportunity for your team. You now all have things you can put on your resumes if you want to move forward on this. You've got your demo reel if you want to be interviewing people, or they've got resumes about editing. Well, I never edited before, but I am now a professional editor. I mean, it's amazing what can be created. Would you have expected this when you started?
Definitely not. I mean, yeah, if you would have asked me when we first started it, this was the path I was going to be on, I would have. It's just all coming at me as a surprise, and every day is just something different. Someone new pops up. A new kind of idea comes into the world of, I guess, this whole journey. So, every day's just been something new, and yeah, I would have never predicted this at all. So it's been really fun.
And you post video as well, since you post on YouTube. Have you ever been
Yeah, correct.
recognized?
I have actually. It's funny. I told somebody this the other day. I was on public transit on the bus, and somebody actually was like came up to me, and I had my earpods on, so I'm like, who's gonna bother me when I'm listening to music and doing my thing? Somebody comes and taps me, and I thought like, the bus broke down, or maybe I missed my stop, or it could be so many different things. He says, "Are you Light of Wisdom?" I'm thinking to myself, like, who is this? Like, I've never met this guy before. It's my first encounter getting on like I haven't taken the bus in a while, but I had to take the bus to go somewhere. And this guy's asking me if I'm Light of Wisdom, and I'm like, how do you know that? And he's like, I love the stuff that you guys are doing. And I'm like, you have no idea what the impact that you're making until kind of an encounter like that happens. So that to me was just absolutely like blew my mind away because I didn't know like what kind of impact I would be making, but when you have this kind of encounter, it just kind of, you know, solidifies that this is kind of your path forward and something that you should be continuing doing. Like you said, right? Like podcasting is, I think, something that, you know, has changed the world and will continue to for years to come. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And since I do mine audio only, people aren't going to necessarily recognize me from that. I had been doing Instagram and TikTok with visual, obviously. There were a couple of times that I was recognized, but it was neighbors who hadn't known I was going to be doing it, and they were like, "Hey, I saw you on, TikTok or Instagram or whatever else." And that was weird. And these were people who already knew me. I haven't been blind recognized like that. So that would be weird. You're a movie star. Next thing you know, you're going to be on one of these reality show things because you're going to be an influencer of note that they're gonna want to have. Are you ready for your entree into Dancing with the Stars or a celebrity edition of some game show?
hey, why not?
The world is changing so fast. You're at a perfect place. You're at a perfect age to really take advantage of what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you're already building this team is incredible. It speaks to the power of networking. It speaks to the power of what you're putting out there. I love seeing all these different careers. I mean, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing, though mine is focused to some point on the financial aspect of it. But you have to remember that the things we do in life build to our future financial opportunities. If I
Exactly.
talk to you 5 years from now and you're going to say, well, this one is now a professional editor and he's won these awards, and this one, and you can see me on my podcast with 10 gazillion followers, and I won the whatever trophy it is for Dancing with the Stars, and I love it. I mean, I just love what I see as this future for you. Or in hospitality, who knows? Someone's going to say, "This is the guy we want as the maitre d', as the front face, or creating the social media and awareness of what our product does." You're going to be the guy that interviews people for a hotel chain, and they're going to fly you around the world to give a tour of all of their various vacation homes. I don't know. I'm just pulling at straws here. What has been the biggest surprise for you as you've moved forward with this?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would have to say most definitely like the overmounting, like, you know, pouring of just, you know, love and just support from everybody that I've come in contact with, everybody that has been on the show, or even just people who watch the show, who watch each episode, you know, the encounters that I've been able to make have been just truly, like I said before, like just unthinkable. And I think for me personally, like one that really stands out is, you know, my parents. They support me every step of the way. They've been my biggest support of doing this, and they're always, you know, pushing me to do better at this, and just, you know, allowing me to like move one step further than I'm at right now. So I would say, yeah, one of the biggest things for me has been my parents' support, because without that, I don't think I'd be doing this at all. They've been like absolutely the rock of my life, and they've been so accommodating, letting me do this like on weekends, or, you know, even weekdays, at nights and mornings. You know, they know that this is my little space. I mean, I'm in my basement. I record in my basement at all times. So, um, yeah, I would say that's been my kind of biggest thing so far.
Having people support you when you're doing it, I have to do that with my family. Okay, by the way, guys, right now everyone's out, no one's talking because we're recording.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, right. What has been the hardest challenge for you as you've created this?
Yeah, I think the hardest challenge for me has been, so I kind of want to take it into a little bit of a like a business direction. Obviously, I do want to make some profit from this. So I think my biggest challenge has been kind of taking this into a footing that is able to make some financial, you know, prosperity or gain, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of been my biggest challenge. I have put out some emails for like potential sponsors, or The other day I had a proposal of a deal that came through, but I'm still kind of on the fence about it because obviously I don't have my thing branded yet. I haven't really paid for any lawyers, nothing like that. So, just kind of learning these little things as I go has kind of been, I guess you could say, like my biggest learnings or my biggest challenges is as I continue to go through this process, there will be that kind of question that pops up of, what is the big goal here? And, how can we essentially, you mentioned, right, with jobs and stuff like that, how can, we kind of turn this into a profitable business?
And do you only post on YouTube at this point?
YouTube and then recently on Spotify as well. And then we're looking at possibly Apple, I believe Apple Podcasts or Apple Music. One of them. I forgot the name off my head, but
Okay. I like that you're always thinking forward. You're always planning that next step. And yet, you're fully present in where you are because you have to be or you can't get it done. It's spinning plates.
exactly, exactly.
It's spinning plates and there's always a few more plates to spin.
Exactly. 100%. I think what I've also learned from this too is, yeah, like you said, right? Like you always have to stay, I think, one step ahead. I think like the world of podcasting is ever changing, and if it's not you, it's somebody else that's beating you to it. And it's, kind of that question of how can you put yourself in the best possible position to succeed? Because it's easy to do a podcast, easy to hop on a call and just have a conversation. But I think the big question I've always asked myself is, what is this going to lead towards? What's the kind of big focus? Because podcasts can range from any kind of topic, any kind of, discussion that you want to have. But if you do things that fit your niche, that fit your brand and like as you mentioned in your area, it's to do with kind of finance and then outside of finance with life because they go hand in hand. So that's like a niche that people have to kind of figure out, and that's what we're trying to do as we go along this journey, which we've been pretty good at.
Is it easier to be a guest or to be the host?
I would say definitely to be the guest. Definitely takes the feel of my. I don't have a lot of weight on my shoulder being a host, but being a guest is really chill. So I'm enjoying being a guest a lot more than I am hosting. But I like it from both sides because it gives you a little bit of perspective of how different hosts do things, and you kind of can pick up stuff and kind of learn from the experiences that you've had being a guest versus being a host.
Are there any questions you prepared for that I haven't asked?
No, I honestly I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but honestly, this has been so much fun, and all the questions you asked were amazing, and I'm really glad I got to touch upon them.
Well, what about anything you want to discuss that there isn't really a question for, but something you'd just like to share?
Yeah, I think as you said at the beginning, definitely reach out to us if you're interested in being a guest or if you have any advice. Like we are a year in, so we are still young, and there's a lot we're learning. So if you have any tips, any kind of suggestions, do reach out to us because we're always trying to improve and do things better. So we've always believed that it takes a village to kind of create something beautiful, as cliche as that sounds, but it's true. It really does take a team, it does take a village to accomplish big things, and we're hoping to just continue on this journey that we're on and see where it goes from here. But we're hopeful that we know that this is just the beginning for us, and whatever happens after that is just a blessing in disguise. So
And maybe not that well disguised. You guys are putting in the effort. You're certainly earning everything that you're getting moving forward.
so much.
Well, I want to thank you for taking your time and sharing with us this morning. We'll keep in contact because I want to see where you're at in a few years from now, or maybe even 1 year.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll always be in contact. I'm really happy that I've had this opportunity, and yeah, definitely. We'll keep you all updated, and we'll hopefully won't post too much to people's annoyance if anybody's out there being like, it's that light of wisdom again, always posting. But we like it that way because we want to engage and we want to build this community in the right way and just continue to meet amazing people every single day. So
Well, thank you very much for spending time with us. To my listeners, I will be sharing a link to Oz's Light of Wisdom podcast in the show notes. Please check him out. He shares a lot of interesting information and interesting guests. And don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and stay tuned. I'll see you next time. This has been Money Marci on Marci Talks Money and Life. You got this. See ya.